Seems like every day we're finding out more terrible things about January 6th involving Donald Trump and his unflinching support for the Capitol rioters. In fact, according to Jonathan Karl's new book, Trump didn't care that the rioters were threatening to hang his now former vice president. So, Mike Pence, okay? So during his interview with with Trump, Karl had asked some pretty direct questions, or one direct question about Mike Pence and his safety during the Capitol riot. In fact, I want to show you his answer. Take a look.
Were you worried about him during that siege? Were you worried about his safety?
No, I thought he was well protected, and I had heard that he was in good shape. Mm-hmm. No, because I had heard he was in very good shape. But no,
you heard those chants. That was terrible. I mean,
he could have. Well, the people were very angry.
They're saying, "Hang Mike
Because
Pence."
it's common sense, John. It's common sense that you're supposed to protect. How can you, if you know a vote is fraudulent, right? Yeah. How can you pass on a fraudulent vote to Congress?
Isn't it amazing that a year later, Trump still does not understand that Mike Pence couldn't just make him president?
Mike Pounds.
What are you doing, Mike? Why didn't you make me president again? It's all your fault. It's all your fault. That literally still thinks, why didn't he do it? He could have done it, but he chose not to. Why would you do such things? Why would Mike do me bad like that? I don't understand. No, but he can't. He literally doesn't have the power. If that's how that works, why didn't Joe Biden just make Hillary Clinton president? He was vice president under Obama, 2016, right? Why didn't he just appoint Hillary when Donald Trump lost? Isn't that how it works? Isn't that how it's supposed to work in insane, crazy land? Well, it's not how it works. But again, he's literally too dumb to understand that. And by the way, this is not something, I do think this is something he got from one of his advisors who was wrong. But, he went around saying this, and then right-wing media, picked it up and regurgitated it to all their followers. And that's why you had 68% of Republicans that believe the election was stolen from Donald Trump. By the way, 6%, and this is according to a poll, 6% of Democrats and 26% of independents say that Joe Biden or that Donald Trump had won the election. 6% of Democrats. What the fuck? What's wrong with you? I know. Look, maybe it's you're the ones who don't like Joe Biden. I get it. I don't like Joe Biden either. Okay, fuck Joe Biden, right? I'm an adult. I can say naughty words. I don't have to go and say, "Oh, let's go, Brandon." Mm-hmm. No, I'm an actual adult. I can use my big boy words. All right. Thing is, as much as we don't like Joe Biden, especially on the left, he won. And that's an indisputable, stone cold fact. And the reason, of course, that, by the way, Joe Biden had won, and for example, Bernie Sanders during the primary, whom I've supported, did worse during the 2020 primary than he did in 2016. He actually did better in 2016, and it's because I think people were convinced that Joe Biden would have been normal, right? And that's what people wanted. They wanted normal. Now, Trump bungled COVID so goddamn hard that we ended up with Joe Biden, who was, again, nobody's first pick in the primary. Joe Biden doesn't even care enough about his own agenda to fight for it, basically giving it up to, his presidency to Joe Manchin, or JoJo, as he calls him. But yes, conservative media, though, with their undying love of Donald Trump, continues to spread that debunked bullshit zombie narrative, and they believe it, And Trump, of course, believes it, and throws his former VP under the bus. And it's kind of amazing. So now what else is interesting is Pence's response, which is nothing. That's what's interesting. Nothing. Donald Trump says, "Oh, I don't care hey, they were angry. They were angry. They were justified in telling, Pence that, we're going to hang him.
Mike Pounds.
Yeah, hang my pants. Hang my pants. Totally fine. Totally fine. He says nothing. Crickets. Nothing. Nothing. And it's pretty funny because there is a positive thing that you can take from this. Mike Pence's political career is essentially over. MAGA hates him because he didn't support Trump. Everybody else hates him because he's Mike Pence. And so I think in order to have a future in the current Republican Party, you have to be beholden to Trump. And I know some people are like, well, what are you talking about? Glenn Youngkin, who won in Virginia, by the way. His son did voter fraud, tried to vote twice, even though he was 17, by the way, so he couldn't actually vote. He did the voter fraud. They don't care. But Youngkin, I know there's a narrative like, oh, Youngkin distanced himself from Donald Trump. But during the primary, he did. He sucked up to Trump. Trump endorsed him. And then in the general election, that's when he distanced himself from Trump. And so, if there's a politician that's going to make it in the Republican Party now, well, they have to suck up to him in the primary. And then later on, they can kind of distance themselves during the general election and try to trick everybody into saying, no, I'm different than Trump. I'm not like him. Even though, of course, they all share the exact same policy positions. And so, but anyway, Mike Pence, by the way, can't do that anymore because of what he did on January 6th, which basically just did his job. Okay. Now, in fact, here's what words Mike Pence had said that are going to haunt him forever when it comes to MAGA land. And here's what he said. There's almost no idea more un-American than the notion that any one person could choose the American president, Pence said back in, I believe, June. And I will always be proud that we did our part on that tragic day to reconvene the Congress and fulfilled our duty under the Constitution. Now, that statement ruined him to the base. Not just that statement, of course, but of course what he did on January 6th alone. And so now that ruined him for Trump and the base, even though a lot of Trump officials like him. They still like him. In fact, Doug Hay, a GOP strategist and former communications director for the Republican National Committee, said this. He is, unfortunately for having done the right thing by following the constitutional duties of his office, committed an unforgivable sin to Trump and therefore to his most loyal supporters. Republicans say those remarks and the lingering concerns among a broad swath of Republicans leave a deep hole for Pence to dig himself out of with Trump's backers. I don't know that you can repair that, he said, especially because whatever act of fealty he would have to do to get back into Trump's good graces, he would look so publicly groveling and weak that would hurt him as well. And that's the conundrum. Now, see, remember, in the Republican Party, weakness cannot be abided in today's, unlike the Democrats, weakness cannot be abided in the Republican Party. That's why Republicans will never be allowed to apologize and will never be able to back down, even if they're 100% wrong, which is oftentimes the case. They're wrong 100% of the time. Unlike Democrats, as I mentioned, who bathe in weakness and surrender too easily and always admit they're wrong even when they're not. Now, another Trump aide praised Pence as, quote, an unbelievably loyal guy, but suggested his actions on January 6th are seen as a betrayal and that he will struggle to generate any enthusiasm among the Trump base moving forward. He's never going to run for president and be successful because no one will ever forgive him. To which I say, now I used to say that Donald Trump was a political black hole, that when he goes down, everyone's going to go down with him. Now the reality, of course, is a little bit different. Turns out I was slightly wrong on that. Yes, Trump is a black hole, but he doesn't go down, and everyone around him does. It's the people who are around him that get destroyed. Either way, I guess I'm here for it. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.